welcome back to Brashonomics. I'm Ben Brashin, and we are lucky enough to have a good friend of our show, Jared Fraser, join us with RE/MAX on the Lake with over a decade of experience in real estate and property management. Jared, how are you, buddy?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Good. So, I got to ask you, easier to cheat in business or in sports?
Well, it's looking like it's sports because it definitely will come back to haunt you if you're cheating anybody in business.
Yeah.
Maybe once, twice you can get away with it, but if you don't leave town, they're gonna find you.
You're a little bummed about the way the sports voting for the Baseball Hall of Fame went too.
I am. I'm a little shocked. I think there's a lot of excellent ball players out there that were in a league of everybody doing it, and they're singling out a few people, and some really great talent is not getting into the Hall of Fame.
Are you surprised at how much smaller all the baseball players are now? Physically smaller.
There's some big ones. Maybe like there's Pablo Sandoval on the Giants. He's a little bigger, but not Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens big. He's a little bigger, lower
Sure.
on his body.
He's just a stout dude.
He's just a big guy, yeah. You are seeing a different game now, too. I mean, if you've been following it for years, the game's being played differently, which is just fun to watch.
Yeah, well, another game that seems to change a lot is the real estate game. And as you start having prices go up and rents go up, a lot of people are looking to get in to the, I suppose you could call it, landlording business and buy homes and start renting them out. What do you kind of see as 2013, the market that we're going to be entering and its effect on income-producing single-family homes, condos, things of that nature?
Well, I've been doing this for years. I've been doing this for, like you said, over a decade. And I got to thank HGTV for really kind of getting the income-producing homes out there. There's a lot more demand for this. And so when we take that with we get more buyers who want to buy in this situation, we also factor in the renters. We have an increase in renters. We have, our Washington State unemployment is one of the lowest in the nation and is going down. So that means people are working, people are relocating to this area, and they need places to live, and rentals are seeing that. We're getting rental. The rents are increasing. How easy it is to get them rented is becoming easier. The time to get them rented is less, and so this is having an effect for everybody. So for people who already own their properties, they have ways that they can make more money on them. But more importantly, we have new buyers looking to either buy a full-on rental property or buy a owner-occupied type unit and rent out bedrooms, or rent out like a duplex, rent out the other half.
Sure. And I want to get into buying these properties and adding value to that. But if somebody, as you just said, already owns a property, and the rents are starting to go up, and people realize that, how do you as a landlord go to your, family that's been living there, these people, and all of a sudden go, gosh, guys, we got to raise your rent? Is there a good strategy for that can be, without being off-putting to the people who are living in that home?
That's a tough situation, and it really depends on how undervalued your rental is. If it's if you're significantly getting less rent than you should be getting, those people might have to move out. You can approach them, give them every option to maybe work up to that rent. You can do a structure where, hey, next month it will go up, $10. Then the month after that, another $10 to finally get to that $50 or $100 more, or even some of them are a couple $100
I've heard of people who are $700 or $800 undervalued.
They are, and sometimes you just need to end that lease. And that's, as a renter, that's part of the deal. If you don't sign leases and you just stick with month to month, then it's a month to month contract. And if you give them a month notice, then that's when you might need to end that contract and seek new tenants. And it's a business. It's a business model. You're constantly needing to attract new business, new tenants, and drive your increase your market share, you could say, by getting more rental properties, and you need to drive up your profits. And that's done by maintaining the place to current standards and attracting new tenants and offering them a nice place to live.
Do you tend to think that hiring somebody like yourself or a real estate agent or somebody who can, I guess a real estate broker for a rental transaction is a good way to go if you have to raise rents and maybe you have a personal relationship with somebody? Or would you recommend maintaining the personal relationship and trying to work something out?
that's tough because sometimes just the landlord
depends on if they know where you live, right?
Yeah, depends if they know where you live or they know where you work. It can be tough for a landlord that has a long relationship and kind of become friends with their tenant to make that happen. Property management companies, that's they're the intermediary between the parties, but they're not perfect either. The person looking out for your best interest is going to be you as a landlord. I usually have consultations with current landlords and new landlords on how to increase profits, how to increase this in their business, and I let them handle it, let them manage it, because when you start adding in those management fees of a full-time property management company, who cares? You made more money. It's just going right to It's just going right to the property management company, and
that's a really good point. I mean, if you're raising rents but your costs go up, doesn't make any difference.
It doesn't make any difference. Yeah. So, and a lot of times, property management companies they're not always out for your best interest. Usually, the ones that I find that work best are the smaller, with a specific plan on how to get more better business, more renters quickly for your properties than it is the largest property management company, where they just deal with so many people that sometimes your property gets left out in the cold and not really looked at.
Do you tend to think that, having that relationship in place from the beginning is a good idea? I mean, you talk about like these smaller companies, and I guess, you're trying to build a relationship if somebody's going to be managing your property, as you say, looking out for your best interests. With income-producing properties, do you think it's a good idea to start off having a property manager maybe filling the vacancy so you have that long-term relationship, or is it just a matter of personal preference?
It's gonna be a little bit more personal preference on what you feel comfortable with doing. But the faster that the landlord immerses himself into this business, the faster he'll be able to grow. So usually where I meet with people is we come up with a strategy. We have a plan. We have a game plan of how to increase profits by what needs to be repaired or remodeled to make it more desirable, and set that plan initially. You can do that with a property management company. They will offer the same services, but they're going to have that looming monthly cost. It's usually, no matter what it is, it's always going to average around 10% a year of your total income. I can do it for 5 or less. And it's involving the owner of the property, who's always responsible for that property in more and more of the daily transactions, can keep him in control and really see his business grow.
Jared Fraser joins us, real estate agent with RE/MAX on Lake. Jared, we just have about a minute left before we have to go. But, when you get involved, you talk about really looking out for your own best interest. If you're buying a property to be income producing, you are not buying a stock. You're not buying something that just sits there. You're going to potentially have to put some work into that. Do you tend to think people, you mentioned HGTV as making it look like this, oh, rah, it's so easy. Do people tend to have the foresight to understand what they're getting into?
I try to open their eyes as best as I can. It can be more difficult than HGTV looks at it. They come
in a 30-minute show and everything's perfect. I can't imagine why.
And they say everything rents really easy. You really have to know. You need to have a local advantage of knowing your market and knowing in certain areas just how neighborhoods can really affect home prices. They also affect rental prices. And so you gotta come up with a game plan. It's buying a business. You're not just. I like to look at it. You're buying a business, and you need to have a long-term growth plan of how we're going to get tenants on a yearly basis, on a bi-yearly basis, and how are we going to regularly increase rents to keep up with inflation and just maximize profits.
Well, maybe HGTV will come looking at you one day, and
I'm hoping. Come on, Scott McGilroy.
Jared, thanks so much for joining us. We got to go to break. We'll be right back after this.